All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us for our first meeting of 2021. Super exciting. Small group today, some new faces, but that's great. Does anybody want to, before we dive into Mark's agenda, does anybody want to tell us anything about cool that they're working on or anything? You don't have to. I'm just giving you the free time to.
I mean, I haven't checked in with y'all in a while. I could say hi, I suppose. Hi, there's a big old wave. I guess my mic is working. Yeah, so Daniel, I've been working a lot with Daniel, who you guys know from answering every single question in the chat every time anybody has a question.
We very much appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, the dude's a freaking monster. But yeah, so we've been working on our game. We actually did a big multiplayer demo on New Year's Eve, and we got a bunch of people that caught on, and we crashed our game like 3 times, and it was just instantly right back up. Just
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was just it went really well for like as far as demonstrating Agones and the infrastructure that we have built. Demonstrating the actual game, terrible. It was a nightmare. It's horrible. But demonstrating the infrastructure went really well. So that was really fun.
Well, that's, yeah, I won't say good, but yeah.
Yay for crashing games?
No, it didn't go that bad. It didn't go that bad. But it was a good infrastructure demo. It went really well.
Good to hear. Mark, do you want to talk about the release candidate that you just did?
Yes, I put that in the agenda, so I should want to talk about that. That would make sense. I will highlight a couple of things. I put it in the release notes, but I have found that unless people like scream it at you, maybe people won't listen. Probably there's a couple of things that moved up levels. So like getting an initial copy of the game server on watch on connection has now moved to beta, so that's turned on by default. So just be aware of that small behavioral change. A couple of other new feature flags, but the big thing is you should have better upfront validation of your pod spec inside the game server, because now the game server CRD includes the full pod template spec JSON schema ripped straight out of Kubernetes, because I wrote a bunch of bash. If you need to turn that off, you can actually enable preserve unknown fields, which basically just turns off all like the validation and the field pruning. And if you run into any issues with that, the other thing that may be worth checking out early, and it would be lovely if you could check it during release candidate this week, even though Tuesday next week is when we do the stable release, just to see if there's anything wrong or anything you run into any issues. It is a big CRD change, so I have found instances where actually if you're using Helm, do a full uninstall and then reinstall, because sometimes it complains. Or I've actually in our end-to-end system, we had to upgrade our Helm version because it just was like, I don't know what's going on. And so just giving you a heads up, if you're doing like maintenance on an individual cluster, you may need to do and you just want to do that, you might just need to rip it out and put it back in rather than do an upgrade. But you can try it first. Worst case, it'll just fail, and then you'll have the old thing still running. Trying to think if there's anything else. It is probably also better in some ways to do a clean install, because one thing I have seen as well, which is probably fine, it's not really like a problem, is if you are from the last release when we created the new CRD stuff. So we went to CRD version 1, and we actually have a validating spec for the custom resource definition. So it actually validates the data coming in. Kubernetes has this thing called preserve unknown fields, which basically says like it doesn't prune anything. It keeps everything rather than pruning what it doesn't know about. Kubernetes is neat in that when this custom resource definitions were in beta, it would actually do the conversion to v1 for you, which was cool. But it turns on preserve unknown field to everything. So when you do the update from say like 1.10 to 1.11, it will keep that preserve unknown fields, so you won't get the validation and the pruning, which can mean that if you have a whole new cluster, sometimes the behavior can be a little bit different. So if you're installing 11 or 12, you may want to do a clean install just so that you have a consistent behavior across all your clusters rather than an upgrade. Just something to be aware of. But other than that, just lots of bug fixes and stuff. Usual shenanigans. I think that is me done with that agenda item.
We're going to move to Kubernetes 1.8.
That is a good question.
We could be like relatively on the same version as things.
This is where we do the.
Robbie's not here, so we could really just do whatever.
It's true.
If you don't turn up for meetings, can you get basically voluntold what you're doing next month? Yeah.
Okay, so
Weird, we found this issue and we assigned it to you. You're welcome.
I also wrote this because it's a good opportunity to actually do the research. All right, so that's GKE.
Haven't we done this research like a million times? We do it every
Yeah,
month.
but it changes. Also, AKS doesn't put it on their pages.
Should I ping the Discord again?
And it's did I get my acronyms right? EKS. Yes, AKS is Azure. Okay. There was a way, I think, of doing this in here. You go. Try it. Sign in with my Azure account. I don't have. Oh yeah, there we go.
Just ask somebody from Microsoft.
Do y'all have those kinds of partnerships where you can just call somebody up?
No, we sit in a Discord with a bunch of people.
We have a lot of friends.
We have a lot of friends. No,
I mean,
they
that
have
sounds really
they have
obnoxious, but like we have a lot of friends that are in the open source, cloud world. So
Yeah.
It is kind of nice. Like when something on GitHub happens, I actually have someone I can just poke and be like, "Hey, fix this." So yeah, it is very nice.
They have a thing that lets me run it. No, just run it.
Gosh, I'm just gonna ask someone.
Yeah, thank you. It's literally like, it's good. They have a website thing that they're like, you can run it in the website. And I'm like, fine. And they're like, let you sign in. And I'm like, I'm hitting the sign in button and it won't let me.
I think Stephen just pasted a link.
That I don't know if that's truth on that page, but
I'm trying to get.
That would seem to be pretty much what we're looking for. Did you look at the link that Stephen posted? It's in the chat.
Release calendar. Yeah, that probably could do the job. All right, so 1.18 should have been there since last year. So okay.
Yeah, I mean, basically the TLDR of the chart is they're not supporting 1.16 anymore.
Okay. Looks to be supported. I was trying to run the command that sits right above that, but it says I don't have an Azure account, so I don't understand. Rage.
I'm just not sure you know how to use Kubernetes. So.
Probably not. Yeah, I'm trying to. Right above that, there's a thing that says run that command inside the browser window, and I'm like trying, and it says no.
Well, I think the other thing to consider is that Kubernetes open source project is doing, they expanded support to 1 year. So like that gives you a rough idea of, like 1.6. I mean, they did it with 1.9, but like 1.9 came out in August.
Mm.
So theoretically, the open source community won't be supporting it past this August. I'm understanding their new process correctly.
There you go. I'm sending an action item to myself to create that ticket. The short answer is we have 2 versions that support 1.18, including GKE and EKS, which is enough that we need for our support for our system, for our what's the word? Our upgrade requirements. So it looks like
Do we know who's using AKS with Agones? Is there anyone?
Based on the calendar, it should be fine. So the answer is I don't need to look it up. Cool.
So who's going to do that upgrade?
I mean, you create a ticket and would be nice.
And it's a Robbie. Great.
Yeah, I've added me and Robbie. And we can start divvying up the work.
Cool.
Sweet.
You wanted to review flagged features?
I did. And so let me pull that up too. Actually, I don't know. I did a bit of a review. Where are we? Documentation, feature flags. Actually, let me pull up the development version of that page because we had some changes recently and that would be more accurate. Okay. I think it's probably the same. I'm just copy pasting stuff that hasn't literally just moved. I think both of these could get bumped. I think we're at the same place we were last month, which is the player tracking stuff still needs the update to the REST API, which has been talked about in a bug. And that just is work that just needs to happen before that gets bumped, and someone just needs to take that on board. Fix rolling update scale down, that could probably also get bumped, but we just need someone to do that work. I think there's a ticket already for that too. No? Okay, there's no ticket for that. Anyone disagree that this couldn't get moved? It's been several releases.
Where is this list at?
Sorry?
Where is this list of the feature flagged features?
I'll grab the development ones. Splat. So we moved in the latest release, as I mentioned before, SDK send game server on watch execution just went to beta in 1.12, and we just created a new one, which is utilized node external DNS in additional. So basically, we would first go external IP, internal IP when we look at nodes. Now we look at external DNS and then external IP and then so on and so forth. That's currently in alpha 2. So these are the only ones. Player tracking and the fix for rolling update are the only ones that are still feature flagged right now. So let's create a ticket, move that to beta. I don't think that's been sitting there in alpha for a while. I will do that now. Blank issue is fine.
While you're creating tickets, should we go to Dom's issues?
Let's go right ahead.
Donna, we don't love the sound of you typing, but Dom, you're on mute.
I had a myriad of tabs open, which wasn't helping.
It's just going to be the theme for the meeting, is everyone's going to have mic problems, so it's fine.
So, where was I? Yes. So I'm still working on a UE4 backwards compatibility issue to get 4.26 and 4.25 working. My main issue around this is I just don't either have enough time or I don't have both versions of Unreal because I don't want to mess my dev machine up. I may download it at the weekend, but I think we really need that in sooner rather than later. It works for me locally. I've not had anyone confirm either way on 4.26, so still waiting out on that. The only other thing I wanted to mention on UE4 was I will probably implement some kind of poor man's watch because I'll need it soon anyway. So I'll do a first pass of that. when I get there, which will probably might be a couple of weeks, maybe a month away. Well, yeah, I'll definitely need it. So if it's not there by the time I come to it, I'll implement it. Yeah, that's kind of just an update on where that was. That needs to be fixed. And then I was trying to find a link for the actual line in code. So with moving on to the next point, there's the Golang Kubernetes client, which I think you use inside the allocator probably, for like deleting and adding game servers. There's this concept of there's a load of options on the delete. And I want to use the API to specifically delete a running game server that has been allocated. All right, so it's fine to do it when it's ready, but it seems as though you can't delete an allocated game server, which is fine in production. In dev, I want my engineers to be able to click and delete an allocated game server. If I set a grace period to 0,
delete an allocated game server. I mean, that's how.
Really?
Yeah, kubectl gs delete gs with the name.
Why have I not been doing that for ages? Am I in? Let me see if anyone's online and then just boot them out. Our name's
Do it all the time.
Right. Okay. I will fix my workflow then, and I will out of it. And that's my bad then. Ignore that point. Okay, cool. Ignore that point then. That was a no point if that is supported. And then my last point was, is there any Fleet IQ alternatives in the pipeline? So Fleet IQ seems to be this thing from Amazon whereby they almost use a daemon set to load balance spot price nodes. So that you can basically have short-lived, they basically won't delete the spot instance for a period of time, apparently, which seems very nice to have. Anything like
Are you
that?
asking in a public forum what our roadmap is for our products at Google?
I would say that's a really nice product, and I would hate to have to move over to AWS. Okay. But no comment on that one then. Okay. Well, it's cool if anyone wants to check it out. It would be nice if something like that appeared as a request for things that might come in the future.
Okay.
That's me for the month.
Thanks. Does anybody have anything else they want to cover? Questions?
I have one other item that I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
I'd love to see more engagement in Slack on hash users. It feels like it's just me and Daniel answering everyone's questions. And I know there's a bunch of people who use this product and get value out of it. So if you would love to give back, we would appreciate it.
We can incentivize you with swag because
It is entirely possible we can send you stuff.
It's being produced, so.
And they have already sent swag to Daniel. I've seen it.
Yes.
True story.
Yeah, but now we have like Agones specific swag. And
Oh, that's cool.
There's like fuzzy socks. That's all I'll say. I mean,
If you want to be very commercial about it, the less time I spend talking, the more time I can spend coding.
Creating swag.
right. Yeah.
I do have a question, curiosity question. Is there, I know that Dom kind of has been shouldering a lot of the UE4 compatibility. Is there anything on the horizon for UE5? Because we're still a few months out from that. I'm wondering if that's been in conversation at all. If there's any dialogue that has happened around that. None.
Katie, it sounds like you are starting the dialogue around UE5. I look forward to your contributions.
I was going to say, it sounds like the answer to that is no, but.
Well, I asked.
And this is how you end up owning things.
Yeah. Thanks. Well, yeah. So our game is the vision for the game is very physics based, and UE4 is not real friendly on physics. And one of our contributors is on the Rocket League team and has just straight out said, "Don't mess with physics until you get UE5." Because the UE5, the internal previews of UE5 have been like really physics friendly. So we're just like sitting on the edges of our seats waiting to start development in UE5. And so thus the question of, is that anywhere on the roadmap for Agones yet? And you answered that. Just wanted to give you more context.
Is there even a public thing you can get of UE5?
No. So they've been kind of going back and forth between a vague like 2021. And then when COVID hit, they're like, you know what, we're going to bump it up to spring 2021. And then they're like, at GDC is now the like most recent one is like it, but there's no clear point of when it's going to be public. They're internally developing with it. All the internal Epic type teams and like Psionics has access to it and everything. But sometime this year it's supposed to be coming out.
Yeah,
I think the answer is unless we have public access. I don't know if we can do anything to it with it. April, sorry, you were going to say something.
It looks like the full release is estimated for late 2021. And given what we know about development in games and game adjacent things, that might mean late December.
Yeah, right.
April, are you suggesting that software slips?
I mean, it's a thing I've heard on the internet. I don't know if it's actually true. It's fine. Yeah.
Yep. Thanks. That was just a curiosity. Just wondering if maybe y'all were lucky enough to have something in the works already. Just curious.
Kind of off the back of that, is there any kind of support in Google for more game engines? Is there anyone internally that's kind of looking at a similar thing, integration with game engines, or is it mainly driven by community?
Pretty much driven by community at this point.
Yeah, we know I know we've talked with like the Godot folks at once before, and they're awesome. I think they're just limited on resources, and it's one of those things where they'd like to do, but I think most of it is just whatever people are using. That's what they are motivated for. So.
Yeah, it comes down to exactly the same thing. Do them internally as it does externally. If people are using using Unreal, and they come and help support, usual shenanigans.
Yeah. It's the default open source answer. PR is accepted. So.
Yes, Dom, thank you for your work. It is much appreciated.
No, it is. I'm just saying, like, as far as we'd love to, I think Agones would love to have all the implementations. It's just a matter of like, I haven't run into a lot of people that are interested in the other ones, but that's always the big challenge is just people, and then the expertise. I mean, that's the other big thing.
And for some reason, they keep breaking their APIs.
Oh yeah, it's lovely.
Which is super annoying. I was going to ask you, Dom, with the Unreal stuff. I know very little about it and very little about C++ in general, but is there a way even to like, what is it, pre-processing like blocks? Basically, like if you're in this version, you get this chunk of code, and if you're in this version, you get this chunk of code.
So it's kind of going to come on to one thing that I was going to say about the whole engine thing is, I think we fall into this very weird spot where most of us in here are probably more infrastructure focused and don't hardly work inside game engines, which for me is like the perfect storm of, I don't really know that much about Unreal either. I know enough to be dangerous. The majority of my day spent inside Kubernetes and serverless frameworks and that sort of stuff. And I dip into it and know enough to get requests fired off and make it work with Agones. So there are if defs we can do, but I don't know if it's per version. But the change I made recently came directly from the Unreal Developer Network. Someone at Epic sent me that code snippet.
Yep.
So it should work.
I think the answer to that is yes. But that's just off of Google searching. We haven't needed to do that ever.
Yeah.
I did drop a link in chat to where I got I think it's yes.
Yeah, that was sort of the thing I was like thinking. If push comes to shove.
Nice. Okay.
Doing something like that.
As always with Unreal as well, this article is from 2017. I think it's lovely.
Surely things haven't changed that much in computing in 4 years. I will say, like, you know, to your point, Dom, like, if anyone has relationships or friendships with someone that's really into game engines and, you know, maybe doesn't know so much about infra, like, we would love to have them get involved in the project. I know this is not necessarily something that is on their radar because it's infra, but, you know, like, I think there's a fair amount of some recruitment we can kind of do. I've tried before with some people, but like, I think that like that's ultimately what we need, is just to build the base of people that are contributing and bring in like the different specialties. So if you know anyone, tell them we have cookies and fuzzy socks and we're awesome to hang out with. So,
And doggos.
but yeah, we would love that.
I do keep trying at work. However, apparently gameplay programming is apparently more fun, or at least quicker reward of seeing what you do.
They don't know. They don't know how
I'm
cool
here
it is to see
too.
servers go up and down in the thousands. They don't know.
Yeah.
Hey man, Grafana dashboards. That's where the fun's at.
Yeah, the game team love me for giving them the Grafana dashboards.
Yeah, right. You want pretty graphics on screen? I'll give you pretty graphics. Look at this bar chart. I can do a histogram.
We found a memory leak an hour before the deployment that I was talking to you about, because Daniel was like, wait, we don't have any visualization for our monitoring. Let me throw it up real quick. He throws it up and we just watch the memory usage just going straight up. We're like, yeah, we should probably fix that.
We should probably fix that. That's genuinely useful. I did remember one thing I should also bring up. I mentioned it in the issue. Once we do stable of 1.12, I'm going to move master domain inside the GitHub repo. So just be aware that that's coming. So if you have forks, you will need to update those.
I feel like GitHub had an issue with that yesterday. Let's see if I can find it. I don't know how impactful it was, but there was something. I'm just gonna see if I can.
They have all the tooling now, which is super nice. It makes it really
GitHub is having an issue for repos with a lot of open PRs, where it can refire webhook CI jobs when the PR is auto retargeted. Their current suggestion is to turn off CI before you do the migration and let it complete before flipping it back on.
We don't have that many PRs sitting in our queue, so like.
Well, but this is also for other folks that are considering a similar change.
That is true. That is true. That is
Not all
true.
about you, Mark.
Told you, I like the sound of my own voice.
Thinking of yourself, like always. Oh, there's a pupper.
She's being very annoying, aren't you? Yeah.
That's because it's raining outside, and if the dogs go outside, they will melt. And so
yeah. I tried to take her for a walk this morning, and she literally was like, "It's not raining, but it's wet, and so I don't want to."
Yeah, I have two passed out from here because it's wet and cold. And yeah.
I don't think I had anything else. Brad, did you want to talk about your actually I haven't looked at it again, the PR for running on Fedora, running the build scripts on Fedora?
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know if there was anything you want to talk about there. I haven't had a chance to re-look at it again since I know you made changes.
Yeah, that's what I figured. No, I was just booting it up I'm running Fedora on my laptop, which I'm going to be doing the builds on. And yeah, there were just a couple little changes because of I assume because of the SE Linux and Podman that I had to make during the build, the initial build kind of testing go and following that documentation. So I thought it'd be good to make those changes in a branch and push them back if you guys want to check it out and pull that in.
I had a look. I I probably should just like run it locally and see what it actually does. Your point about some of those DIRs being volume mounts, a lot of those are actually like, a lot of them are just grabbing the local caches that you have and shoving them back up into the container because it's useful. So they are host mounts. I get worried about what permission changes that Z thing's going to make. And that kind of freaks me out a little.
So that should be, personally, I have never seen a major issue with other tools using that. That's really SC Linux context, labeling context. Okay. So those
take it for a spin and see what it breaks. I'll risk my machine over at somebody else's. How's that?
Yeah, and I am doing the cloud build. So if the cloud build is using the branch that it's pulling from, then that should also implement that system, I believe.
Yeah, it's passing. I guess the only, like in cloud build, it's not such a big deal because if it makes any permission change or anything like that, cloud build's like ephemeral, so it disappears and like who cares, right? I guess I'm just like, what changes will it make to my local system on my machine? And I don't know.
And it is managed through the container engine. So if it's run C with Podman, then Podman will have the changes that it will interpret that command versus Docker and Moby will interpret from the operating system what changes it believes it needs.
Got it. It does say, yeah.
For that.
The use extreme caution with these options freaks me out a little.
And that's understandable.
Yeah.
We can look at other avenues if you prefer.
Yeah, okay. I'll take a run through it and see what it actually does.
You just gotta live a little. Sometimes you just have to say,
it's fine. It'll be fine.
All access open. That's fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
What could possibly go wrong?
But thank you for putting in the effort, nevertheless.
Yep, and I'm going to be trying to get another commit in this weekend. So cool.
Sweet.
I just had it.
Just looking if there's any other outstanding PRs that are worth talking about. Just some stuff that needs review. All right. That's me done.
I was making a note from that great idea. Do you have anything else folks want to talk about? Okay. Is anyone playing any games that are fun? Or that are not fun and that the rest of us should avoid?
I booted up a new game called I just forgot what it was called. Dyson Fear Program, which is a Factorio-like game for multi-planet Dyson spheres. Pretty interesting so far. 18 or so bucks on Steam.
Okay.
I've just been running through Hades. That's really good. On the Switch.
Now it's my microphone's turn to grab the wrong microphone. Yeah, I was going to say, Brett, there's a lot of interest in those type of, Factorio, satisfactory type games lately. I think it's a good, not mindless, but like relatively repetitive thing that people can do. I know for me, it's great, there's no anxiety, there's no stress. We get that from the real world, but
slowly build up over time at your own pace. That's a lot of the fun.
Yeah, and along those lines, all I've been playing lately is Final Fantasy 14 because I can craft and mine things, and
yeah, that's a great one.
I'm playing this game where I wait for read Cyberpunk patch notes and then don't play it because I'm scared it will ruin my save game, and then wait for the next patch.
I heard that's a really popular game, so yeah. I have not started it yet either. Largely, there's the Cyberpunk subreddit where people are just like constantly sharing the weird bugs and things, and it's interesting and it's entertaining enough for now. Right,
I
well,
live inside Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That's my life now.
I was just reading, someone said an article that like it was too long.
It's Assassin's Creed. They're
I know.
long. That's just the game.
Unpopular opinions on the internet. What can I tell you? I did find it slow at the start, which I think is partly why I put it aside for a while.
Yeah. It feels like it has like Breath of the Wild kind of mechanics. in Assassin's Creed,
That's
which
good.
I actually
That's why I didn't finish Breath of the Wild. Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't. Yeah, Breath of the Wild is too Breath of the Wild for me, whereas Assassin's Creed I feel like hits kind of Breath of the Wildiness for me, but still hits my. I like.
I got bored
Sorry?
of cooking. I got bored of cooking. Like every other thing I did was I
Right.
cook stuff. Ugh.
I struggle with the game mechanic of like deteriorating weapons, and I get it, but it also just frustrates me.
I think
So I
that's
take stuff down that does.
problem with Valhalla was like, you did this so well in Odyssey. Why did you screw it up in Valhalla? So it just bothered me. Like the bird is pointless in Valhalla.
It's not pointless. It's so useful.
Not as much as it was in Odyssey.
That is true.
And that's what bothers me. It's like you literally had the code, copy paste. Come on.
This is an evolution of the Assassin's Creed genre,
Yeah.
which I appreciate. I appreciate it going in a new direction because it definitely felt like it was like, hey, look, it's another game with different skins and a different plot.
Yeah.
But it's otherwise the same, which I like up until a point. But anyway, it's a choice. We all have different tastes.
Well, if nobody's got anything else, you can have
Yeah.
15 minutes back.
I'm creating the ticket to upgrade to Kubernetes 118.
Quick question for Mark whilst we're here. The controller service, does that have a HTTP API that does exactly the same as the CRDs? So rather than using kube controlled Creep CRDs, whatnot, does the controller have the same API where I can call into it rather than?
That'd be the Kubernetes API.
Fine. Okay.
But then you can use all our client if you're using Go, yeah?
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
so
so
I
you can-
am using that. I just wondered, because I'm not doing it from inside the server, inside the cluster. I'm calling from outside the cluster.
Oh. Authentication can be a pain.
Yeah.
From outside
No,
the
but,
cluster.
so I am using the Kubernetes API, the Golang libraries, all that sort of jazz,
Yep.
to kill and destroy and bring up game servers. Okay. I wondered if there was a legit way that is approved rather than doing outside calls into the cluster to play with the Kubernetes API. Okay,
Nah.
cool. I'll carry on as I am.
Yep. Or build your own. Just build a little API service to.
So I'm basically putting a shim in front of it, which I'm just looking through the code to see if I have to parse a game server object to a game server object in my own API, or if there's a code I can rob for that. So yeah, that will carry on that direction.
That works.
Thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to head off, and I will see you next month.
Yeah, thanks all.
Sweet. See you all on the internet.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye all.
All right. Take care, y'all.
See you later.